All right, I'll call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum tonight, and we have an individual to speak in our public forum.
Mr. Branchy,
Mr. Branchy.
Evie, you may go.
we'll start your timer, sir.
Just giving you guys an update. Again, we talked a couple weeks ago, had some discussions around options. Really, is really what it is. So I'm not going to repeat all the stuff because I think everybody in here was at that meeting. In the midst of that board meeting, Anthony and the group parents went out, had a really good brainstorming session for half an hour or an hour even, it felt like. Decided, let's everybody go out, get opinions of several other parents to try to make sure you're never going to get 100%, you're never going to represent everybody. But pretty much everybody did that. We had a few different people that joined kind of that committee. We had two board members, who were kind of 1.5 grade, made some recommendations, but then wasn't able to come. And then we had a few other teachers, parents come. Again, really our only intent is the parents. I've got a lot of questions before the meeting, before the first board meeting and since, and our only intent is to lead on this situation with the state likely potentially doing something, because again, we don't have spring break now. I don't think a lot of people want a week off. So it's what can we do that, along with, hey, are there a few other periods during the year, a day or three here or there, one day here, one day there, that we can maybe modify the schedule slightly. We're not looking for months and months off. We're not looking to tell coaches what offense or defense to run, or run spring offense in football or any of that. But we are looking for, hey, here's a few key areas. Let's sit down and make recommendations through Anthony to you guys to say, hey, here's kind of what the parents came up with. Ultimately, I would say it's, do you want them to do it flexible, which is what we kind of preferred, or do you feel like through discussions over the next year, hey, maybe you do have to make some rigid rules? As a reminder, I talked to Jeff Beeson at Glenwood. Their board directed, from memory again, don't totally quote me or him to this, but like they were like, hey, no Memorial Day, no Labor Day. And when I brought up Labor Day, the question was, well, what about Monday JV football? I don't know, ask Jeff. That's just what he told me to track me. And then they also do Easter similar to what we do. No Good Friday, no Saturday, and then Monday they allow the afternoon for track because it rotates. So picked his brain. He and Anthony have talked. I think I've talked to him more than once. So when we met as a parent committee 10 days ago or so, about the only date that we spent a lot of time on, I'll spend more time now on the dates we didn't, like Easter, we brought that up. He's like, yeah, I pretty much got that fixed. You guys good with Monday afternoons? Yeah, pretty much everybody understands that. Okay, I'll manage that better. Dead week isn't changing, sort of thing, in August. And then we talked through the couple other recommendations. July 4th got brought up, and most people were like, I think we've already had a break in June, we have one coming in August, we don't really need a lot. I assume they're not going to play a baseball or softball game on July 4th. We don't even need to worry about that, for example. Thanksgiving was the one we probably spent the most time on. And I think initially, correct me here, I guess you probably can't, sorry. It was no Wednesday or Thursday. It was how it was kind of initially is now today, is my understanding. And through the discussion, one of the biggest things I asked all the parents was, if we need to present 2 options or 3, please let me know. Because for example, let's say half of us said we want 2 days and half of us said we want 3. I would tell the board, hey, 100% of us want at least 2 days. Half of the people think we need 3. I don't know what the right answer is. Take that data and feedback, and you guys talk and work with Anthony and make a decision as a board and administration. So through that little half an hour discussion about Thanksgiving, we essentially came up as our initial proposal to work through with Anthony and the coaches of, hey, what about instead we still allow a practice Wednesday morning before a certain time? Because right now there's no school on Wednesday. Get Thursday, Friday, Saturday off, and then allow a Sunday afternoon practice after 3. We first kind of said 1, and it was, well, if we do it a little later, that still allows for it. The reason we did that was a couple of parents in the room, and it wasn't me, but I've asked others, and it was other parents, besides even parents in the room, said, we haven't been home on Thanksgiving in a dozen years because 2 days is not enough if you've got to travel more than a few hours. So we were trying to get a 3-day stretch without eliminating practice, so still get the same number of days, but have it be a 3-day consecutive in a row. We know that would be a change. We know that would cause disruption. We hoped they could figure out a way to work it out. So no, the parents weren't there to say, damn it, you better do this or else. It was, hey, can we find another couple of days throughout the year where we can get a 3-day federal weekend, a Thanksgiving holiday weekend, etc. I believe it was Greg that also kind of came up with the idea with Anthony of, hey, how about at the end of the year for nobody in season, baseball, softball, soccer, track, we do kind of a week there of no out of season stuff. Give families another break. You're playing baseball, you know that. But if you're playing football and you don't play baseball, hey, football doesn't start until a week off from school. The other big thing we addressed or asked for was, can we get one set of communication? I'm not upset. For example, my son plays soccer. I had no idea the soccer game was canceled until I text my wife. She logged into Band app or WhatsApp or something, and there's a text. So like school days, everybody gets a text. hey, no school, 2 hour early out. Anthony's pretty sure he can work that through Bound. All the coaches will use Bound, so if I've got a kid in track, I sign up for track notifications, I get a notification. So again, not zero upset, I have no way to know if soccer was canceled. It's okay, we're working on solutions to fix that. So those were the 2 main things. Another topic is how do we manage out of season and in season expectations, and the parents really felt that's for administration to handle and the coaches, and if they don't feel it's being handled well, that's gonna need board and administration involvement. So we didn't really touch that, to be honest with you. So we really came up with some of the dates, and the only one again being Thanksgiving, tried to change it from 2 to 3, and then Bound. So we agreed we'd let Anthony kind of present, manage it. You guys ask him a ton of questions, and he needs to lead this with the coaches. So, thank you.
Thank you.
That's really going to put 5 minutes together.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, discussion items. We have a superintendent report.
Okay, we have science teachers here, and Mr. Mosier are here to share their findings from a 2-year study on what we would like to do for science and a curriculum piece that's later on in the agenda. And then after that, Anthony is going to follow up Brent's conversation and tell you guys a little bit more, where we can have a little bit more of a discussion. So,
Yeah.
Jeff?
You have the PowerPoint, you can.
Do you want me to just put it up there?
Please. While we're doing that, this is we call it our leadership team, if you will. This is our science lead team. If you guys want to introduce yourselves, you'll be able to do a better job than I will.
Dylan Stain, high school science.
Susan Barrett, 5th grade science. Moving to middle school science next year.
Tanya Brooks, 612 instructional coach.
Yes, and Caleb Browse was also on the committee. He's the middle school representative. So there's a representative from each building. And so what the goal of this team was is to lead the process of improving science instruction in the Harlan Community School District. Now notice I said science instruction, and the whole thing is to get a common experience of high quality science for our students. Okay, so you guys, it's on the agenda tonight to approve or not approve the purchase of new science materials. But our job is much, much bigger than just science materials. Ours is evaluating best practices. Ours is looking at what our current status of instruction is, our current levels of instruction, and then making plans of how we're going to improve. We look at it as how we're going to, we're looking at the experience of a kid K through 12. What do they experience in science, okay? So, that's the whole big picture of it, I guess. But as far as the actual, how we selected what we decided to purchase as science materials, okay? These are a few things. There's more than just on this, but we're keeping it short. So teacher instruction. Our team, we probably did it, did we do it 3 times or twice? Our walkthroughs?
Yeah,
2. So what we did was we went through every building and we did walkthroughs, and we had a template of what is expected for high quality science instructional practices, and that's what we did at our walkthroughs. And then we would come back and then we would discuss, we weren't discussing individuals, we were discussing as a whole what we saw and didn't see as far as strategies or skills that the students were doing or teachers were having the students do. So we collected that data, we brought it back and we analyzed it. I mean, we're talking about, sitting 5 of us or 6 of us sometimes, because Kim Wise is our AEA consultant for science, looking through tons of data that we collected in these classrooms, what students were doing, what teachers were doing, things that they were saying, things that they didn't say, the activities, the quality of the activities the kids were doing, were they journaling, were they not journaling, lots of things like that. Then we would take that information and then we would design a professional development based on what we saw in our classrooms, also what we know is best practice through the next generation science standards. You ever heard of next gen? If anybody ever talks about next gen, next generation science standards. And then we would plan our professional development that tailored those standards as well as what we saw or didn't see in our classrooms. And this was all science teachers, so it was all the elementary that taught science, and then the middle school and the high school, okay? So, like I already talked about next generation science standards, and then it's almost like a scoring guide or a rubric what we use, and then as we went through it and as the teachers went through it, you could just see them. It was amazing how they were getting better. Just like students would get better, the teachers were getting better with it. I wish we could have captured somehow what we saw at the beginning. Not that it was bad, not saying that whatsoever, but the change in the depth of instructional knowledge and instructional practices was much deeper than it was when we started 2 years ago when we did our first observation. Part of that could be is because we learned more of what we were looking for. But it's partly that, and it's partly just the direct science instructional professional development. And then we were learning and applying these instructional practices that support critical thinking. Sometimes that's, I've heard people say that that's kind of the bad word with science. We've had some people talk about whether we, want to teach science this way or not. No matter what, I think we all want kids to be critical thinkers. I don't care what it is. If you think about Anthony and the group that Brent just talked about, they're critically thinking, they're coming up, they're solving problems. That's what we want for all of our kids, no matter what they are doing. Well, there's certain things that you can do, and there's certain things that the teacher can do to help them get there. Okay? Is this still me? Okay. I don't want to take all the...
And then we went to, once our teachers were kind of more familiar with the NGSS and just strong instructional practices, we started looking into what materials are available. And then we picked 2 to 3 to pilot at each level. Some of the things we looked at that we said we have to have was it had to be high quality instructional materials, and it had to align K-12. So anything that didn't fit that, we threw out, and then we did narrow it down to 2 at the elementary, 2 at the middle school, and we ended up doing 3 at the high school.
Now, I'm going to interject just a little bit, maybe help solve some questions. There's a nonprofit agency that does a lot of this work for you. So they take it and they tell you whether it's high quality, like if it matches and if it aligns, and if it's aligned K-12. And there was only 3 or 4 choices, less than that at some grade levels, that even met the criteria for highly qualified instructional materials.
Is that kind of like the math, because you guys said there was only 3 maths they could
Yes.
same,
Yep.
same thing.
Yeah,
It's
so
it's a state requirement that you have highly qualified
Yeah.
instructional
So
materials.
basically, another company vetted this thing.
Non-profit.
it's actually not even a
Or
company.
nonprofit vetted this.
Yeah.
Vetted all the different types of curriculums,
Okay.
or all the different, yeah.
Yeah, they go through all of them. It's
All of
controversial
it.
on their side because they have appeal processes. Because like if you remember Houghton Mifflin from the day, maybe they still make. Remember Houghton Mifflin? That's what I had when I was a kid. I don't know how I know that, but I do. I just do remember it. But anyway, so like let's say they had a science curriculum and it wasn't considered highly aligning. Did I just date myself by saying Houghton Mifflin? Okay.
PTSD.
Yes, probably was. And if they didn't get the criteria, then they don't make the list. And so this was our advice to the other groups that are doing this, only when you select those, you look through them and you only put those in front of people, the ones that are already vetted, that are going to be very well aligned in high quality instructional practices and activities for the kids. So there was very few to even go to. Anyway, sorry I interrupted.
And then we piloted each material for about 8 weeks. And then we did some of those walkthroughs for each of the materials. We got feedback from teachers, and then we got together and this team made a recommendation. So.
All teachers. Every teacher that's a science teacher gave
Feedback, right.
Just
And
for-
we took that feedback and the evidence that we had from our walkthroughs, and then this team kind of looked at all that and made a recommendation.
Okay, so the elementary data looked that Amplify would be our best choice for the elementary school. The thing that we looked at, it was the NGSS aligned, it was 3D. It aligned to all the, the 3D as the science and engineering practices, the cross-cutting concepts, and the core.
I brought handouts for you guys to take with you, because if you want to know, because when I was looking through this, that means nothing to you
Yeah.
without studying it. But I brought some handouts that kind of breaks down what those mean.
Okay, so the data showed that the teachers agreed that the curriculum for Amplify was meeting all the 3 dimensions of the standards. It had instructional supports that provided hands-on learning that was engaging and grade appropriate, going around a phenomenon that made sense to kids. And then it was giving those hands-on authentic learning in the classroom. And then the last one was a very important one, that it was cross-curricular in the elementary. So it integrates the reading and writing and the discussions. It incorporates math through data analysis, graphing, and problem solving, and it builds the critical thinking through communication and skills across all the subject areas. And then I'll do the middle school one as well. So this was put together by Caleb Rouse. So the middle school chose lab aids for a very similar reason. So the hands-on science investigations and inquiry. So the students were engaged in the experiments. They were modeling, data collecting, and all the stuff. When I went through a walkthrough, was stuff that I would see that was happening there, even as a non-teacher. So it was great, or a non-middle school teacher. It's aligned to the standards just like Amplify was, so it has the 3Ds, it meets the NGSS, the units are coherent, they build upon each other, and then it supported the diverse learners. You guys were able to get Spanish books quite quickly
Yep,
and
so
stuff, so.
the middle school has Spanish books, and that would be part of what we would get, so that we have them. They also have a electronic portal that has, I think, 30 different languages already on it, but they can put any language that Google has on there, so it's pretty versatile there. And then it has, can be read to them, things like that, accommodations.
So yeah, so it has a lot of the scaffold lessons and visual aids and reading supports, as well as the language needs with the program.
Yep, and then for high school, we ended up going with lab aids as well. We saw what was happening at the middle school, and we saw they were really enjoying it, really liking what was happening, so we piloted it. What we saw was there was a nice blend between old and new, having that 3D aligned with cross-cutting concepts, science and engineering practices, and disciplinary core ideas, while adding still some of that phenomenon and inquiry-based learning. And then plus, what was really nice at the high school was it's aligned with the standards that we have now. You know, that's something new that we haven't had in the 11 years that I've taught. It's very, very hands-on at the high school. It's about 200 activities and 3 years of required science. So that's 1 or 2 activities a week. Some of them are quick ones, some are multi-day labs, so a lot of diversity through that. And then like we were talking about with the other ones, it just uses multiple contents to drive scientific ideas, creating models, revising those models, gathering evidence, presenting ideas, all that fun stuff we get to do in science.
I was just going to say, this group has been an absolute pleasure to work with. I mean, they've been great leaders because I know we've discussed this at previous board meetings, and there was comments, you know, not everybody liked every curriculum. You know, when you're out front and you're leading, these guys did a great job, every one of them. So I just want to tell them I appreciate the work you guys did and some battles that you faced, and thank you. And Mr. Stain was our chairperson and was wonderful at it. We need to keep him with some more leadership opportunities, so we kind of screwed up.
Yeah.
He did too well. So we need to get him on more committees. But anyway, thank you guys very, very much. So-
I want to say thanks too, because this is the inaugural group, so we're starting this, math is in the works right now. Casey and Bill's taking math, and then one of our other instructional coaches, Paul Kiergaard, is working with Bill. And then Casey will take over next year with CTE and just kind of the one-offs. But Jeff and you guys plowed the way and pioneered the way, and we appreciate that, because there were things that were in our process that we had written down just from the get-go that you were like, nah, this isn't gonna work, we need to fix this and we need to change this. And I appreciate everybody's honesty and the hard work that we went through. But I think you made it, you'll make it much smoother for the next group and the next group and the next group. So I really appreciate that. And I also want to say to Mr. Staines' point about not having any standards for 11 years, we didn't have that here when I got here 5 years ago, and we haven't had it for even longer than that. And Brian's going to talk a little bit when we do come to our item of purchasing science. Curriculum is expensive, but we haven't bought new curriculum for 20 years. So it's really important that we get it on it now, and then eventually we'll have it and we can recycle it as we need to recycle it. But thanks again for you guys for all your hard work.
So does that mean I'm a 7th grade science teacher, and I've been teaching every year I get out kind of the same things at each part of the school year, teaching it year after year. When you guys adopt this new thing, those teachers are kind of starting from square one totally, because it's a whole new curriculum.
The
Yes,
standards, yeah, I was gonna say the
Yes and
standards are
no.
similar.
You got one
Yeah.
principal saying
Yeah.
yes and one saying
Yeah.
no.
Standards.
Yes,
The
I was-
the other one giving a look of, I'm not.
I mean,
sure.
I would say just as my siblings, we went through, like, oh, I'm doing that this year,
Yeah.
and you're doing the exact same thing,
Yeah.
as we went through, but with the whole new, you're adopting the lab thing. They're
The teaching.
redoing what they're teaching, like,
The teaching, the instruction part, like Jeff said, should be different. I mean, if
Yeah, we want, we always get better, The standards are still there.
right.
So like as far as the standards, we've had standards, they've always taught with standards. They have a different guide, if you will. The pacing's different, the curriculum map is a little bit different. The book doesn't teach. The curriculum doesn't teach, the teacher teaches. So that's why we're getting a yes and a no, because there is some differences, but the teacher still has to teach the students. So they, they have to determine, if I use lab aids, or amplify, so basically there's 2 curriculums we're asking, that's on the agenda, lab aids and amplify. And the kids don't get it the way the book lays it out. I have to teach that a different way. So I may pull out some of my things
And
that,
I was thinking about it from a prep standpoint, like, I'm going to have to prep more because we have this new stuff. Is that new curriculum? Yeah.
I would say at the elementary, they would say they're gonna prep less.
They have more guidance. They've never had guidance before, so they have more guidance.
They had to find
They
all
had
their
to-
own
yeah.
stuff.
Because there hasn't been a curriculum, so you have to go look at the standard, find the stuff and do it.
Yeah.
This has a nice, great unit with the standards bundled and
So it's
helps lay it out.
but in a helpful way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amplify is also our reading curriculum, so it aligns in the writing curriculum, so you can read something and then align it with your science later. So yes, I think. And then, I know that was one of the, I don't know if you want to talk about that, Dylan, but that was some of the conversation at the high school. Like, we've built this curriculum for the last 10 years on our own, and it's good. Why do we have to get a different one? But if that teacher leaves and a brand new teacher comes in, holy smokes, so it's a guide. But Dylan, do you want to
Yeah,
talk to
we
that?
hodgepodge together quite a bit up at the high school. Just doing like, this works really well, let's keep doing this, this doesn't work great, so let's throw that out, change it, Unfortunately, every year, what worked great one year doesn't work great the next year, but works great the next year. So, we've just been a big blended, I don't wanna say mess, but just blended up at the high school. Trying to slowly figure out what works best for us. And it'll be nice to have some guidance, What we get on day 1 isn't what it's gonna look like in year 2, which one will look, be different in year 3, year 4. We're constantly changing and evolving, so.
And one of the benefits with having this is they build on ideas. So like what happens in 7th grade, you might build on in 10th grade. So it gets a little deeper, whereas when we were doing that before, you're just finding stuff online, and sometimes they end up doing the exact same thing that they did in 7th grade. So this keeps us from doing that, because we're not on our own just going out and finding things.
It's a balance between having teacher have the autonomy to teach the strategies or the standards without going rogue. If that makes sense.
Any other questions? All right, thank you guys for
Yeah, thank you
presenting.
guys, thanks a lot.
It was kind of fun. And a challenging 2-year study.
Nothing worth doing is easy.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's not. Okay, well, I also real quick want to say it is Board Appreciation Month, and so thank you very much for everything that you've done, and we appreciate you volunteering and asking good questions and helping the district get better. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Anthony, do you want to follow up?
Yeah, so Frank kind of explained what we did, and I think one of the things worth noting, and I expressed this to my coaches, is I think parents get frustrated when they can't talk to someone. That's when we see the frustration, right? When parents don't know where they can go to talk about something, that's when we get frustration. So it's my job to make sure that we listen and we take into account some of the things and be mindful. I think that's what's probably opened our eyes about being mindful and intentional about where we're placing some of these breaks. So he did cover it. We talked about the summer dead week. Greg really did have a really good idea about that end of the summer week. So kind of bookending our summer of having a break at the beginning, at the end. We did spend a lot of time over Thanksgiving, and I thought about something even after the fact, because there's so many things that are going to go into it, but trying to have 3 days of a break over Thanksgiving and 5 days of a break over Christmas. Now, how we use those, that's going to have to be flexible. It really is. I thought about the Achieve scrimmage the other day for the boys. The Achieve scrimmage is on that Friday of Thanksgiving. So if we're not going to do that, then it's going to be hard to have that Achieve scrimmage. So just being mindful, but still saying we're still going to have 3 days over Thanksgiving break. I think that that's really good. 5 over Christmas is what I talked about. The other thing we did talk about is that bound scheduler. I think that's going to be game changing for making sure. So just like today, he said, we had a cancellation. As soon as I click canceled on our bound, if you and your son or daughter are signed up for track, soccer, whatever, auto dings to your phone. Track is canceled for tonight. Not everybody has to get it. Those that have kids in those events would get it, or I could have HMU, Goobs, that way I don't have to send out the vastly different things to everybody to get the one messaging service. Todd Blatt already started. He moved from Remind or whatever he's used in the past. He's going to use Bound, and we just talked to the 8th graders about it about 3 hours ago. So everybody signs up for Bound. We'll get everybody on board with using one communication. And then the big thing, maybe not the big thing, but something for me personally is just one unified voice in expectations. What does voluntary mean? What does it mean? And what are we saying out loud to our students? What am I saying out loud? What are the parents hearing? And then what are our coaches voicing and then acting on? I think that that's important to make sure that we continue to do that. So I think that starts and ends with maybe, we had a great talk about having a parent meeting and maybe an all parent meeting, because I had some really good things from those parents too about what are our expectations about how we talk about coaches at home. And I've had, like I was a football coach, I always had a beginning of the year meeting, and I said, when my kid comes home, we had a big hill, he's gonna cuss me all the way up that hill. All the way up that hill, he's gonna cuss me. And then guess what? He's gonna come home and he's gonna say some more bad things about Coach Donahue, because he's not gonna like me when he's tired. What I need you as a parent to do is go, hey, go to work tomorrow. Go to work tomorrow. And then just keep saying that. Don't buy in, don't feed in. And those parents went, okay. Because that's hard to do sometimes, because sometimes you do go, yeah, I don't know why you're not playing, man. That coach doesn't know what he's talking about. Boom, you've just undercut our whole program. So saying these things out loud so parents can hear them, putting it down into a kind of our policy, our expectation of what it is to be a Cyclone student, athlete, parent, AD, like what do we do together? Make it more of a said out loud and acted out loud. So those were really the three things that we talked about.
Anthony, hit a little more on, you had a great idea about the coaches, athlete, you guys setting the expectations so kids felt a little more comfortable on communicating.
Yep.
That was a-
So, and just having those, I talked about the board that I was going to set up, the 5-student board, that we can continue to have fall meetings. I have a fall, winter, and spring meeting with all my coaches. Having those players there and being able to just kind of say those things out loud, is that kind of what you were talking about, Brent? So then they feel more, no coach, or no, I don't want to say no. Athletes are very fearful maybe of going and telling their coach that I'm burnt out. I'm tired. No, I don't know of too many male athletes that are going to go to Todd and say I'm really tired. And I'm not physically tired, but I'm tired here. And I'm tired here sometimes. Like, that's okay to say. We all need to say that. I've learned over the last 5 years that it's okay to say I'm not okay. And we need to say that more and more and more, and especially for me. So when I say that out loud, then my male athlete that's 16 years old that doesn't know how to express his emotions can go, Coach, I'm having a hard time right now. And I am a staunch advocate for mental health, right? And especially male mental health, where we don't say things out loud. So I think that's becoming more. He did say that right. I met with Tom Keating and probably last week or the week before. Tom Keating, the head of the IHSAA, and then Gary Wax, the head of the girls union, came in and spoke and said that bill that he's talked about where they're going to set dates didn't pass this year, but it's coming back. And it's going to keep coming back every single year. Now, whether it passes or not is another thing, but it's coming back if schools don't do something. If we don't act and we don't get ahead of something and make our kids in Iowa are saying, we're tired, help us. So if we don't do anything, the state and the governor are going to do something for us. And they're going to say, this is when your spring break is, this is when your breaks are, and then it's out of our control. And it's going to be really tough. So that was his big thing, was make sure that you're going back to your schools and you are doing something about it. So this is ahead of the curve right now of trying to find and be intentional, taking what they said, going back to my coaches, trying to figure out just a middle ground, right? I think our coaches really do need to know that they still have autonomy. I think that's important for our coaches. All right? I would never tell a coach, and listen, we're never going spread option, okay, whatever he said. But making sure that they understand that I'm never going to tell you how to coach, how long to coach, but it is important that we are mindful of our athletes and their recovery.
I do think, Anthony, too, that the girls and boys union are talking about, like, there is a dead week, so then they would come up with another few days or weeks, not let it get to the legislation, or not let every single school district do it. Because every single school district can't do it, because then you can't schedule based on everything, unless everybody agrees. Like the Hawkeye 10 would have to agree, nobody's gonna play this
Exactly.
week. You can't do it that way. So what I have heard when I've heard Aaron and Tom speak is that they want to create something and get ahead of the game statewide, so everybody has to do it, and we're not making decisions either, that we're gonna have to change year after year, so.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jennifer, I
Go
didn't
ahead,
interrupt
Jennifer,
you.
you were there.
I think enabling kids to follow the chain of command so that they're empowered to go talk to their coaches. Maybe here, no, I don't agree with you, but they're going to the coaches and following that chain of command so that the kids are empowered.
Agreed.
So, because they will use that for the rest of their life.
I think that's very important, and that has come out, and the kids need to talk to the coaches first, and that needs to be what we say. Have you talked to your coach yet?
Any questions on that? I love uncomfortable, and I love that. It shows that we can grow, right? And I appreciate that. One thing that I told Jenny that I wanted to talk about, we were tasked as ADs to talk to our boards about this. House File 2591, that's the 8th graders playing up. So if you've heard about that, that's going to be a big deal. This was not supposed to come out. This was supposed to be dead a long time ago. And then what happened was the scholarship rule, the 140 days that a kid would be out, I moved from this school to this school. I have to sit 140 calendar days. The Boys and Girls Association had problems with that because they were running into 4-day school weeks. Then longer. What constitutes a school day? They had an appeal where a kid came in and appealed to get to play a game because he made it to weights that morning, and they were appealing that counts as a school day. That should count it as a school day. So they said, we're done with that. We're going to make it 90 school, or instead of 140, it's 90 calendar days.
Other
90
way,
calendar
other
days.
way, other way. It was
Oh, yeah,
90 school
140,
days, and
I'm
now
sorry,
it's
backwards on it.
140
Yep.
calendar days.
Calendar days, from 90 to 140. Then they slid this in with it, and it passed, and it's on the governor's desk, and she said, I'm gonna sign it. It's gonna be signed, it's gonna happen. They said, so then Tom, the Boys and Girls Association, went back to the governor and said, can you wait for next year and give us time to find, and she said, no. This is gonna go into effect August 1st of this upcoming year. That all 8th graders can play all sports in Iowa, and it's up to now, you have to allow it, is what the rule is going to say. You have to, the Boys and Girls Association has to allow it. Not that we have to do it. So, talking with the Hawkeye 10, it sounds like a lot of us, and my recommendation to Dr. Barnett is that we are not going to allow it at Harlan this upcoming year. We're going to stay firm with what we did. Softball and baseball, sure you can play up. I have a very hard time with thinking that a 14-year-old boy should be playing against 18 and 19-year-old men. You're going to get people hurt, and it's going to be, at some point, we're going to be liable for something like that. Contact sports are tough. There are, and I have coaches after coaches coming in saying, what about, and even something like, I was walking over here today and said, we don't offer middle school tennis, and we don't offer middle school golf. Wouldn't it be great if we have some 8th graders that could come up and golf on our team? That sounds like a great idea, right? But there are unintended consequences because that kid that's doing golf and tennis is now not doing some of these other sports. There are a lot of things that have unintended consequences that are going to come down that we have to. So for me, we slow played the cashless. At Harlan and Atlantic, we said, we don't want to do that. We have an older population that loves coming in and paying with cash. At Harlan, we're going to continue to do that. And then what just happened? They came back around and said, nope, you have to allow cash. And we went, okay, we've been doing that anyway. So for this, I would love the board to back that we're just going to wait, and we're going to see what happens next year, and there are going to be far more rules and regulations on what this means. Can an 8th grader bounce from middle school to high school and back? Here's an ethical question. A cross-country runner, can I pull her up to qualify my cross-country team, have her run the qualifier and the state meet, and not do anything else with her? Is that ethical? It doesn't seem ethical to me. I'm going to jump your daughter to have this really good 8th grader runner come up. But those are things they don't have answers for right now.
You won't have a cross-country team.
You cut yourself off at the beginning if you try to do this. This isn't a problem for us. This was added, I think, for the schools that have 7 girls on a basketball team. And you have a couple of middle schools, sure, pull them up, and now you can practice against each other.
Are the smaller schools for it? Because I can see.
Absolutely they are.
I can see this.
Absolutely they are.
The 1As, the A's
Yep.
being for it. I can
This
see
is
that.
great. Let them do that and maybe test run it for us, but I don't think that Harlan is in that.
The difference there is the 1A schools are competing against other schools their size, where they're gonna run into the age group, the age span across the
Everybody
board.
has it,
So,
yeah.
so those 14-year-olds are gonna be playing against other 14-year-olds. You have a bigger community like Harlan, and yeah, you have back to 14-year-olds playing against 18-year-olds.
26 other states do this, so it is done. And Iowa now is going to these other states and saying, how do you do it? What are the rules? Like New York has 4 different things. The AD has to sign on it. The varsity coach has to sign off. There's one other thing, and then they have to pass a 5-point physical fitness test. That's pretty tough. So they have to do all those things to show, because we do have some 8th graders that might be able to do that. Right? we do. But do you cut yourself off at the beginning? You pull a great kid out of that class, and do the other kids go? And then that mom goes, well, why can't my kid do it? He wants to do it. Well, then I don't want to play anymore, because now it's not fun, and we're not winning as a group. We don't want to do that. So the state's going to go out. They're going to look at that. They're going to talk to the governor. They're going to bring more stuff back to us. Our recommendation was probably just wait, and they're not telling us what to do, but that was the wink and the nod that we got, was just to kind of hold firm. Any questions on any of that? Thank you, guys.
I want to go back to the previous topic. Was there any discussion at this, from, the athletic association and that from, cause it used to be open gyms, I think June 1st, it used to start when, the 20th? And then they open that up, they talk about taking that back away.
Too many schools were cheating the rules, and they finally got tired of policing who was and was not following the rules, and they just, nobody was really enacting any sanctions against the schools that were caught cheating, so they just opened it up June 1st. But right now, here's the problem I have right now, Roger. We have state track going on this week. I have baseball that starts on Monday. So I have a whole week that I can schedule. That never used to happen. Baseball started a week later, and I didn't have this overlap. So I'm gonna have a kid in both track and baseball. But if I don't schedule it early, this goes back to our scheduling. Jeff and I were just talking about these 3 ranked teams that we play early in the season. If you don't get ranked early for baseball, you really, our district is, I'll say this on camera, our conference is not very good. So if we don't get ranked, then it hurts us later in the year. So we have to have these 3 days early to face ADM, Sioux City North, and Bishop Heelan. Schools we will see later in the year because our baseball team is very, very good this year. But there's this overlap right now where I have athletes doing both things, and it's very, very tough for some of these, and our coaches and the AD. So this is a state-created hiccup that I'm dealing with. June 1st is a state-created hiccup.
No, I know it is, and that's why I was like going, you know, they take that or limit the number of open gyms a sport can have, you know.
Yeah, that's tough. Because football used to have 7. I had 7 dates I could deal with throughout the entire summer.
Yeah.
Now you have every single day.
And I think that's where the burnout's coming from.
I agree. Maybe that's why we said bookending them, and
it's not from the scheduling of the games and the games they have, it's coming from all the
I think the summer is tough on the kids. They don't get to be kids anymore. They are mini athletes of high proportions.
But I talked to Todd, and Todd told me, and this is his real, this is where I come back, is I said, Todd, I know, and I said, Todd, like, he goes, just take your vacation whenever you want to take your vacation, just tell me about it, right? Go do your thing. And I said, but you need to say that out loud too. You need to say that so they hear it, and then they're more willing to say, but then with the parents did have a good conversation that the athlete does need to be able to go talk to it, because you had to stand in front of your dad and say, I'm gonna miss because I gotta go soils judging, and he said, okay, but you didn't get to tell the assistant coach or the AD or your mom get to call Todd and tell him why you're gonna be gone. We do need to, but that goes back to making sure that the kid feels comfortable. Todd says at the beginning, come tell me and communicate with me in person that you are going to miss in the summer. Go take your vacation. Voluntary means voluntary. Then when they don't do it, we can say, listen, he said it. So.
Yeah, and that's the important thing is it is voluntary, and that's what it should be.
And parents need to back that up. I mean, I've had to say, if you don't go talk to this adult, you're gonna have problems at home, because then I'm going. So we have to give them the courage and back our kids up as parents to go do that. So, because I've had parents say, well, we can't talk to coaches, they won't get to play. They probably will. So just go. Give your
I do think
kids
students
that.
feel guilty
They do.
for having to go up to a coach and say, I'm going to have to miss because of XYZ. I think it does put the student athlete in a hard position. And I think there's guilt there. I think the coach then says, really, do you really have to be gone? I don't know if that's what the coaches really say, but I know from experience, my kids have felt guilty having to go to a coach and say, I need to miss because of this.
And that's why we asked Anthony, even from an AD level, to say, hey guys, kind of in a coaches athletes meeting, to say your coaches are going to tell you this. If they don't, I'm the AD and I'm telling you this, so if you go to your coach, he punishes you for telling them in advance.
Right.
I do think, just from a personal standpoint, I have a son right now who's working in a professional field, and when he even needs to take a Friday off to go do something, or even go to the dentist for Pete's sakes, he has a hard time asking his boss that, because that's just, everybody feels that way. So you have to, we just need to teach them that you can do this, and you know, you just gotta say, I got this appointment. And then
This
once
goes-
they
this
do,
goes- I got told in, I won't say an evaluation by Casey and Dr. Barnett, stop messing your kids' stuff. Stop.
Yeah.
Because why? Because I don't want to be gone. Because I feel like if I'm not at the activity, then no. Go see your kids, because there are things that need to happen. You need to go on a vacation is what needs to be told. You have to be a kid. You're 14 years old, go take your vacation. But when you come back, lock in, right, and be part of this. It's not about doing less, it's about being effective with our time.
And sometimes that mental break is good
That's right.
for all of us. And back to your point about teaching kids to not be afraid to go approach a coach, that just trickles down or trickles up into adulthood. Not being afraid to go approach a boss, that, hey, I need some mental time off. It is. So teaching those kids young, it just helps build them for their future. So, yeah.
I think you kind of started the conversation by mentioning the fact that people needed to be able to know who to go to. And so that's such an important thing, because if people know that they can go to you, or if they can't go to you, then they're likely to go to their legislator or to us or something, and then it becomes tougher, and people end up in places they don't want to be.
They are going to their governor, and that's what
Yeah.
Tom and Aaron Gerlich with the girls and Gary Wax said, is stop telling parents, just call your local legislator. Because now they are. They're skipping me, they're skipping her, and they're skipping, you know, the Iowa and girls associations and going straight to the top, and now laws are getting put in, and everybody's going, well, wait, don't do that. Yeah. So we need to take care of it here and make sure our parents always know that my door's open, Casey, Jeff and Bill, that you gotta come talk to us. Let us handle it as a district first before it ever gets to you. Like when we start talking policy, that gets dangerous. Once something's policy, that's law, so.
We don't wanna go down.
No. Okay. Thank you, guys, I appreciate
Thank you,
you.
Anthony.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
That was good.
All right. Oh, student accolades.
Okay,
Almost jumped
Jeff?
things.
That's a kindergarten class at the top right. They must, looks like there's a water tower. I was looking at that one earlier. I don't know exactly what that was. They've made the water tower. One of the favorite days at the elementary is when Christina brings the Eagles. That is a favorite day, so that's pretty cool. If you ever want to come to school and see something cool, watch the kids. Right when you think kids can't quiet down and listen, you put that eagle out there, they can. So that's really cool. So we're so lucky to have Christina, our naturalist.
Yes.
I don't know if other schools have the kind of experiences that we do with that, but it's great. On the left there, that's the pen pals. So we had kids that had community members as pen pals, and they wrote to each other all year, and then that was their pen pal meeting. At the end of the school year, they got to meet each other and have coffee and drinks. And the middle, that is that's black light reading, nothing more than, that just happened last week. Everything we can do to keep kids' attention this time of year. They just had black lights in their rooms and white pages, and it made it something as old as the hills more interesting.
Yeah.
And then I think that on the right is a trip to public library.
Yep, looks like.
So, is what that is, a field trip to the public library, doing activities, so, yeah.
Thanks, Jeff. Bill?
That top picture is our 6th grade that went out to Prairie Roads. They have an outdoor classroom field trip, so it was a great day. Lots of community groups are there to put on little sessions for the kids, and they did really well out there. We go to that every year, so that was good. The middle one, there is our 7th grade language arts class where they're having a Socratic seminar. So it's a student discussion group. So the teacher posts some questions, open-ended questions, and the kids then start having dialogue about that topic, whether it's something about plot or something about a cause and effect, or an author's purpose question that gets posed, and then the kids start talking about how they see that in their reading that they were assigned. So that's always interesting to sit in and listen to. Kids do a really good job. In ag, you could bring your pet, and so that's Michaela there with her bird that she was able to bring in. that she was proud of. The next picture in the middle, we talked with some of our kids to say, what are some of the activities that we aren't having here at school, and what can we do to help provide some time for you to do that. And so kids come to Mrs. Redler and say, hey, we would like to do this, or we would like to do that. And so then we try and find some time, but there's criteria in terms of you have to be passing your classes and you have to be doing this. And so that's a picture of the chess club right there. So a group of kids said that we wanted to have a chess tournament, and so that's them going at that. We've also had a battleship tournament. We've had morals through movies. This kid wanted to watch some movies, and he and I sat down and what are some good movies to watch and what are some good stories within those movies, and then led some discussions with some of those kids. So that being provided throughout the last 2-3 months has been really fun to watch kids lead things that maybe aren't traditionally in our school day. And then that's Reagan. He was chosen for Southwest Iowa Honor Band here a week and a half ago. And so I wanted to recognize him.
All Iowa.
Yeah, all Iowa, yeah. So, good for him.
So at the high school, that first picture on the right there is we had some visitors to check out our CTE programming and our Cyclone Alley. We had some administrators and teachers from Glenwood. We had the Department of Ed CTE representatives, we had 2 there, and then Green Hills AEA. So we had 6 or 7 visitors come, had a great conversation, took tours, had to check out Cyclone Corner and Cyclone Brew, and then we went through all of our CTE areas. And so this is a picture of, on the right there, the blonde is Lorraine Dutzman. She's actually Lorraine Stamp, who is a Harlan alumni. She's now the Glenwood principal. And we were in the shop, and Zach Clausen's there with some kids, and they were kind of walking through the different projects and different things that they do in the wood shop to build skills there. And overall, just a really, really awesome visit. And they walked away just like completely blown away by everything we're doing in that CTE area. Just
One of
very
the things
impressed.
Zach's class too is gonna do is we didn't replace all the doors at the high school just because they were so expensive. But we were able to, Kylie got us a grant through, and we got a new planer. So Zach's class, as one of those projects, is gonna refinish all the doors in the high school. I mean, that'll take us a little while, but it will save us a lot of money, and we'll just have to, we just have to pay for the materials, but the planer, they needed a new planer, and so it's gonna be awesome for them.
It's a great experience for the kids
project.
too.
Yeah,
Learn how to
and
do
then they can walk through the school and say, I did that, so it's very, very cool.
That's great.
Yeah, so it was a great visit. So Jeff J. Claw is in the middle there, and he is retiring this year, and he's such a fun teacher to have on staff. Great guy. He's been teaching at Harlan for a number of years, 20 years maybe.
At least, yeah.
He actually, I taught with him at Tri Center my first year and finishing with him on his last year here, so I think that's kind of fun. Anyway, the science guys, Dylan and the other 2 guys on our left there, those 4 guys are the science department. They put together a shirt order for the FA-ism, and then the whole back of the shirt had his often used comments that he just uses all the time, and surprised him with that shirt, and gotta wear that. So so that was fun. This is a group picture we took at the end of the day. We had Emily Rainey as our school nurse, and we surprised her on Nurses Appreciation Day with just a school nurse coffee cup and had a card signed by everyone of the high school staff. And I called her out to the cafeteria. I said, Emily, get out here. We need you in the cafeteria. And then Anthony announced, hey, it's Nurse Appreciation Week. So she kind of came running out like, what's wrong? And then all the kids were cheering for her. And so we got her good. So that was kind of fun. This is just a picture I captured of some of the junior guys just using our hallways. This is a common sight you see of, they're working on a study guide. They were reading 1984 as one of their units, so they were kind of finishing reading and having a discussion. And they did not know I was taking that picture. You kind of see Weston looking at me like, what's she doing? So it's really neat to see those spaces being used the way that we were hoping they would be used, and they really are. And kids are using them very appropriately without a lot of hard direction from us. You know, we just try to give them as much responsibility as we can, and if they can't handle that, then they are the ones who get to be the group in the classroom, you know, so, but usually it's just been really fun to see this year. Oh, and then this is another picture of the group that came to visit. This was, you can see Lindsay Kaufman in the black there. She's one of our ag teachers, and they were going through our Cyclone Snacks CTS, SBE, Student-Based Enterprise is what it's called. So Cyclone Snacks is the freeze-dry snack for purchase through our ag class. And so you can see Easton and Lane up there kind of walking through the startup and how it works and how we do it and all of that. So kind of walking through all that. So it's good. And graduation went well. Thank you everyone who came yesterday. And yeah, so great class. It's so fun to see each kid come up the stage. I told them when we practiced on last Wednesday that I could just look at each of them and think of a story and just a point of growth, or you know, something that's just special about each kid, that you just see them grow so much and change over the course of high school, and all for the better. So it's just really rewarding to see them graduate.
I did love the applause for Jackson.
I thought that was wonderful.
That was amazing.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
These are just our state qualifiers. So we have a relay team from the boys, and then Fox Argensinger was was it in the 200 or the 400? 400.
And then another relay qualified on
Yeah, only one did.
I think
on
two.
time.
The 4x8.
The 4x8, and then this is the
4x8.
distance.
This is
event,
the medley.
and then Fox on the open 4.
So two boys relays, and then Fox,
Yeah.
and then one
Yeah.
girls relay.
No, two girls. really.
Two girls relays.
Three
Yeah.
girls.
Three girls relays. Okay, Kylie must have. Okay.
But they qualified on time.
Oh, that's what it was. So it was after. These were the
Officially, they qualified
at
on
districts.
place.
Yep.
At
Okay.
districts, they got first or second,
Gotcha.
and then they take all of the times.
And Julia Hessling also.
Julia.
Oh, so we have a
400, I
big
think.
Yeah.
we have
Yeah,
a big group.
they're
Good.
taking like 22 girls up, because you have everybody who's running and alternates.
Alternates.
Yeah, and the boys is 12, 14 guys, so
Good. That's exciting.
really nice, good group going up.
And then this, Kylie, you could probably speak a little more to this, Casey, sorry.
Yeah.
Kylie in my head.
This looks like it was decision day, so, and that's kind of like a nationwide thing, I think, it's not just us, but, so decision day is you wear your college decision shirt to school and take a picture, and so I saw different friends and different things on social media that they were, I was like, oh, I didn't know it was everywhere, but it is, so. Yeah, so
It's kind of.
yeah, it is
It's kind of neat, because it used to be just like an athlete if they were gonna sign
Yeah.
with somebody, but now it's, where are you going, what are you doing?
Yeah, wear your shirt.
Yeah. And then the bottom two there are, this is one of my favorite things all year, is when the seniors walk through the elementary. Those elementary kids are just, you can see it in this little guy's eyes right here. I think that might be an Osborne, I'm not sure. But is that the little, but his little eyes are just like, oh my gosh, it's like a hero walking through there. So it was super fun this time, and they did it, they had to walk quite a ways, didn't they, Jeff? Because they had to go through every single neighborhood and then this way.
Jackson walked it, and he said
Oh,
that
yeah, he did.
I didn't realize he did, because he thought that he was supposed to.
That's great.
But
And he gets done, and he thought we had to do it on Sunday too. And he goes,
graduation, yeah.
when we go back there on Sunday, I am using my chair. So we won't go over there on Sunday. That was the whole practice, yeah. Oh, he goes, I am using my chair on that one.
Yeah. And then that other one is, the Perry Lodge is always very generous to us, and they call it TAG Awards, so Teacher Appreciation Grants, and 4 teachers, one from each of our buildings, gets $200 check to do whatever they want to with, and then they provide a nice dinner for all of us, so that's a picture. And then Shelby County Catholic also has one too, so they give to 5. And they collect all of that through Can Redemption, so it's kind of amazing. So it's a neat thing, so, okay.
I'd like to share the CNA class out at Iowa Western this spring. Consists of Harlan, Avoca, and Elkhorn students. Last week they took their written test, and today they did their skills test, and everybody passed. And so that will make them eligible on state registry to work as CNAs. And so
That's awesome, yeah, that's great.
Very
How
good.
many, Lori, how many?
the spring's class was 7.
Good.
Yep, and 15 last
wow.
fall. So yeah,
Good.
yeah. So yeah, very proud of all of them
Yeah.
for getting through that.
Awesome.
Thanks for sharing, yeah.
Okay, next, I don't know how this got on here, but approval of superintendent contract. Anyone have any questions, discussion, thoughts? I think they're all gonna say no.
Yeah.
Everyone had an opportunity to look at it and?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, can I get a motion to approve the superintendent contract?
So moved to approve it. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right.
Thank you.
It was easier than you expected, wasn't it? Next up, we have personnel report.
One of the questions you might have is Noah Potter. He is our high school vocal. He did sign his contract, and then asked to, got a job offer in a different district. So we told him we would let him out of his contract upon super replacement. We do have an interview tomorrow. So hopefully that will go well, and we'll be able to let Noah out of his contract. So that's what that means. Otherwise, you heard Susan say she's moving up from the middle school to the or from the elementary to the middle school, and so that does open up a elementary teaching position in the intermediate class or school, and then so those are 2 certified openings. Otherwise, we have paras, cooks, and some coaches to hire for. So I feel. It's getting to the end of the year. It's a little bit more. It's tougher, but I hopefully we've got some ideas and some plans in place. So we'll hopefully have some good news for you next month.
The Hayden Soma assistant baseball coach, the numbers are really high right now, so it justified adding another adult to that. So that'll be something we'll look at each year. But I think Heath is close to 50 boys. So they added an additional coach because Hayden was just going to volunteer, and then we've got enough. So he's already has his coaching certificate. So we're glad to have a grad back.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, next we have approval of the 25-26 graduates. If we don't approve it, I don't know how we're gonna go back and
Yeah.
Right.
get all these diplomas back. That's gonna be a
It's a tough one,
challenge.
and I really think it's just kind of a courtesy to put it on
formality.
here,
it's a
yep,
formality,
yep.
Mhm. Any questions? Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Approval of memorandum of understanding with IJAG. I'll just go with the acronym, IJAG.
This is, we've had this for 2 or 3 years, this program. We have 3 Iowa Jobs for America's Graduates teachers. Each of them costs $25,000 each on our end, and it's a partnership with Workforce Development and the Department of Ed. So, for this contract, which is $75,000, we get 3 full-time teachers. We have 1 at the middle school, 2 at the high school. And the high school one is even doing a lot of our work-based learning right now, so she was able to take over some things. We didn't have to rehire that for cohorts when he retired. And then Dylan Sears has taken Cindy Redler's position that Cindy's retiring. So we will have an opening at the middle school, and we'll be able to be a part of that hiring. So that's the good thing, is we get to hire along with IJAG staff. More all career based, and works with at-risk students and gets them out and about. We have 3 really good teachers right now, so hopefully we'll find another one.
Seems like such a great
It's a good deal.
program.
It is a really good deal when you get the right person, just like anything is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've been very lucky to have good people.
Any other questions? Any motion to approve?
I'll second.
Go ahead.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Approval of science curriculum purchase.
Okay, so this is these are the 3 pieces of curriculum that we are asking you to purchase. Elementary school would be the Amplify. Middle school, that shouldn't just say Amplify, the middle and high school are lab aids. So those costs are one-time costs basically, and then once we have the curriculum, and then Jeff, is there a annual cost at the elementary?
There will be, we've got that thrown into that package right now for a number of years.
Okay, so yeah, they negotiated a pretty good deal,
So there's some things we're gonna try out to see if we like them on a longer basis before we do, but there could be. They have journals.
oh yeah. And then the lab aids has a lot of equipment, so I know at the, and then I think it's about $8,000 a year annually to get the supplies that you might need each year to do all of the labs. And that's one of the things that Tanya said too, is if it's supplies that we could get otherwise somewhere else, then we can always get that too. We'll just make sure that it's the right cost. But Brian, do you want to talk about where we budgeted for this?
Where can I find the money?
A lot, yeah, it's a lot of money. In fact, when I saw that, I was, whoa. A lot of the funds we'll be able to use are gonna come from TQM and TLC. We actually sat down last week, Jenny and I and Ashley, and scheduled out what does TLC bring in a year, what does TQM bring in a year, what are we carrying over from the past? And you might see a little bit of tweaking the numbers a little bit. We might not be able to offer quite as much TQM in order to keep satisfying the curriculum needs, or there may be years we'll offer less TQM, but in order to make it sustainable, we might have to change a few things, but really there was nothing major. We tried to figure it to be reoccurring. It would be quite helpful if we had 1 year somewhere in there where we had I have no idea what the math curriculum's gonna cost. I would assume we're not too far off on this.
2 years.
2
years.
2 years? Yeah. So I mean, what we'd be really looking at is we just have to kind of align it. Right now, we're in good shape. We'll just have to be very cognizant of what the costs are gonna be going forward.
So I think, elementary purchased literacy curriculum 2 years ago? 2 or 3?
The CKLA.
The CKLA, and that was a
It's
big,
been 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
and then we've got this big purchase, we've got math, but then CTE and all the one-offs, those are a little bit easier and not quite as expensive, so.
And really what
social
that'll
studies
allow
will
us
be
to
another
do
big
is if we have a
push.
lower year, we'll build up some
Right.
categorical funds to kind of make it so we can actually hit what we call cycles is what we really want to do.
And
Much
that.
like what we're trying to do with our facilities is try to get things more on a cycle.
Yeah. We feel like we have a plan, we have a good plan, so, yes, this did come out a little bit higher than we had thought, actually Jeff's is less than what we had thought. The middle school's is higher than what we had thought, and the high school went with what the middle school went with, cause we thought they were gonna go with something else, so that is the good thing about the process, is the teachers got to make that decision, and, so. It's a big one-time cost, but as Brian said too, he said to me, we haven't bought curriculum in 20 years.
Yes,
So,
ultimately, we just
you know.
have to be very strategic.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down
I
to.
appreciate the presentation tonight. I think that it showed us that there was a lot of work went into the thought process, and it sounds like they involved all of the teachers, and I really like what I'm hearing about the alignment piece of that. So I really think it's going to be money well spent. Yep.
Is it on an 8-year cycle? Is that what you said?
6, 7?
Year
I want to say 7 when you actually spend the money.
But you could decide, oh, we like what we're doing.
Absolutely.
It just needs to be
Yeah.
updated.
And we can just
and
update
keep
it.
going
Yeah.
Mhm.
With it, it wouldn't necessarily have.
Yes, yeah. It also depends on if the state changes the standards.
Yeah.
So, yes, yeah, yeah.
I
And-
have
So
some
you're
kids that
aligned.
have gone into science, and probably because we weren't aligned with the sciences, they did have gaps in some of their classes that other kids had had.
Yeah.
Some of that may be regional too, because they
Sure.
weren't in this region, but I think it is important to be aligned
I
with the
think it's
state.
very important, and that's, yeah, especially, I mean,
And they're
that's a
now
lot of
aligned- the state is now aligned to the next generation science standards, which is a more of a national.
yeah, they had their own too.
Right.
So, and I do think the work at the middle school, they're doing standards and essential standards and assessments and aligning their work as well, so that's very important.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion to approve?
Oh, motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Next is approval of the contract renewal with Pioneer Janitorial Services.
Jeff's very excited, he's jumping up and down.
Celebrations.
It's a lot of
Put
work.
that behind you, right?
Should we discuss that more?
No, I was just excited.
Yeah, science, that's what, not the janitorial, no. He doesn't care about this.
I know,
I know,
Office must be really
He's
clean.
really clean.
Office must be really clean.
Yes, I love these guys.
If you guys remember, we struggled last year to find a head custodian, so we hired this janitorial service, and they are doing the work of about 1.5 people, if not more, and they're doing a very good job. They're not raising their rate. They ask us for feedback. Yes, this is a 2-year contract too, so they won't raise it for 2 years.
Okay.
They ask us for feedback. I mean, if we give them, hey, could you do this, this, or this, they do it. They're really good. I don't know, Jeff. Do you have
We
any?
do not get complaints. You know, like, I mean, there's a lot of staff in the building, and you get feedback over the years, you get used to feedback. And I haven't had feedback this year, so that's good. So they're satisfied, I think everybody's satisfied.
Do you know, like they don't come on,
They're here on the days the students are, so that's like 170 days. Sometimes they, instead of coming on Friday, they'll ask if they can come on Sundays. They say, hey, if you need us in the summer, if you want us to come in a couple of days early, let us know. They're just very, very flexible, I think, and very nice people.
they're super nice.
I mean, the
It's a
owner,
family-owned
yeah,
business.
the owner and his wife are two of them that come.
And our cost compared to full-time staff?
Yeah, Brian did the cost analysis last year.
We did the cost analysis and it was a wash. What we were gonna have to hire, and they're not raising their rates
For 2 years.
for 2 years.
And a head custodian would be full-time, so 12 months, and have insurance benefits. So we added in the whole benefit package, and it's a lot.
And if they're here no matter what. Like if, they don't have sick days.
Sick days.
Yeah, they're here no matter what, which is nice.
Any questions for that, or about that? Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? There you go, Mr. Mosier.
Great meeting. Love this meeting.
No, just don't talk about it.
We'll see how he feels about policy. Next up is policy review schedule, first reading. And there was very little change on
No,
this.
guys, we're
Very little.
yeah, we've done a good job of getting through our policies, so now it's just kind of, any ones that need to have changes from the IASB, so,
That's great.
yeah.
Well, Al's the only one that started, you're the only one that started with us, right, Al? So when we started and Catherine,
We were pushing them
we
through.
were pushing them through because they hadn't been reviewed, so now we're to that point, which is good.
Mhm. Any questions about first reading?
What's the first reading, number 7 or 8?
Yeah.
7.
No, 8. I'm doing 8.
You're
No,
doing
8 is
I'm
the
doing
second.
Eight is the
Oh,
second.
they
Just-
Oh,
Eight is the second.
Catherine,
What?
it says first right there.
That's okay. That's all right.
Luckily,
It's
the
a-
drafts say second, so
Yeah.
you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, this is,
I said, gave you a hard time.
I missed that.
can I get
I
a
missed
motion
it.
to
When you look
approve
at it,
number
it's
7 first reading?
I'll move.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
So the test,
Opposed?
see if we were to.
Okay. Now I have number 8, policy review schedule, second reading. Any questions on the second reading?
It says it right on here,
It says it right on what?
on this
It's
one.
right on the sheet.
Yeah.
Weird. Technology.
If no questions, can I get a motion to approve?
So,
Here, look.
Catherine's not
I'm
paying
sorry, what?
attention.
Jennifer,
Things are happening.
Jennifer and Lori.
Focus. I'm losing control of my group.
They're leader, that's where they go, I must find one.
6:18.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Next up, we have consent agenda. Any questions on the consent agenda?
I didn't have any questions on the finance.
Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Al
Opposed?
Roger.
All right. Next up, we have adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
Oh, motion's very excited. Let's see if this goes
Best
through.
meeting
All in favor? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right.